Hey, it's Matt here. So thank you so much again for the login. Been playing around and honestly things look pretty good. So what I mean by that is I took the original query that you had right here and I just copied this item and created a second item right here. So just another database query. And important to this, I turn on SQL mode to data dump. And the reason why I did that, and also selected from a different table, is I did data dump for this query right here and it actually does return results for me. However, the results that I saw, I didn't quite know if the data was right because it just seemed like it was numbers. So I figured maybe that was the issue that we're having, as it wasn't returning like string data, for example. So when I copied this and selected job name, I figured this would be a good way just to test to make sure everything is good. And yeah, when I run this job, it does seem like it connects and it actually pulls data that does look correct to me. So it pulls these fields from that database table. So what I haven't tried yet is writing to this table. So let's actually try that. I'm going to, well, you know what? Actually, I don't want to write to this because, well, let's see. What is this database called? Well, it's called testing. You know what? I am going to write to this. If this was the production database, I won't even touch this. But I feel a little bit safer here knowing that this is probably, the test instance. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a text field and I'm going to call the field job name. And I'm very specifically doing that because I want to make sure that the field that I write to the database in this submission page is going to be correct, right? Like the field name for the form should usually match the database column name. And so I'm going to ask for job name, and then I'm going to, I actually have an extra page here. I'm actually going to delete this guy for right now, and then I'm just going to go to the submission page. By the way, I should mention one of the things that you'll start to get into when we have multiple pages is page naming. So usually what I do is when I'm, and granted this is a test job, but when I'm actually, even in test jobs, but especially in production jobs, I will go through and I'll do what I call the two-pass system. So the first thing I'll do is I'll name my first page, like index, then I'll name where I'm going to go submit. And of course we could have multiple pages, and so we could have, page 2, etc. But generally speaking, I actually like to give the pages custom names, so kind of override the default generic names. And then what I do is I take the second pass. So pass 1 is I name all the pages of my job, and then the second pass is I'll actually say where do we go when we press submit on that page. Now in this case it's just a 2-page form, so I will say you're going to go to submit.php. And this way we can make sure then that when I press the submit button, it's actually going to go to the appropriate, in this case, submit page right here. So anyway, when I do this then, I want to then add what we call an SQL plus item to this form. And here's a nice little shortcut. This SQL plus item, it also needs to have its database properties configured, but I don't want to have to keep writing that over and over again. So as soon as I have one item that has a database property set properly, I just have a nice little shortcut here. It says apply settings to all data source items, and this is just going to go through and it's going to write these values to the SQL plus item. So here it's gone ahead and done that, and then yeah, I'm going to attempt here to just kind of chop this statement up here and get it to write to this. So jobs catalog dot job name, and I want to write to, actually that is not what I want to do, job catalogs table, and I want that. And let's see if I can't hopefully do this. So do that. So insert into job tables catalog, the column job name, the value right here. Don't know if I've actually gone through it. This is one thing that I'd be happy to do as well, and usually I do, is actually kind of step through some of these more interesting parts of RackForms. By interesting, I mean how we handle, for example, parameters in SQL statements. The way we do it is, because we're here now, is for every parameter that we have, we use a placeholder. So placeholder is a question mark. And then for every variable, we just use the dynamic variable picker to then choose the form fields we want to write. And in this case, it's just the field called job_name. So I'll just say job name. And then this is going to add that item here. You'll notice now that we have 1 for the field count, 1 for the var count, and so insert into job catalogs table, job name, values, question mark. The value will be transformed at runtime into job name. So what I hope to have happen here is I'm going to run this. It should hopefully query, and I should see those records. And then when I put in a sample job title, hopefully this is going to write to the database and it's going to write it. Now, actually, this is good that I got this page. And I'd rather we didn't, but so what this basically means is in RackForms, we generally want every page that's in a job to be required. And so I actually have some extraneous pages right here. And so I can either delete these guys, or I can make these part of my job, and by job I mean like the workflow, or I can check this box, I can select the page and check the box that says page not required. I bring this up because this is used all the time when we actually have either pages that can be skipped, so like dynamic pages where maybe you don't want to fill in any of the fields of that page, or for what I like to call applications. So we have, let's say, a workflow right here, and then I actually want to have a completely separate workflow over here. And so we will often check this box to say, well, no, you don't need to actually complete this page. In this case, though, we literally don't need the page, so I'm just going to delete that guy, and just for fun, delete that guy. So now we just have our main 2 pages. Now I should be able to go back in, and I should hopefully be able to submit this. We'll see if we get an error here. Hopefully we won't. Looks like we didn't, so submission page. And we can actually then check this just in the data dump here, and hopefully now I have, sample job title. So it is kind of weird. This seems like it works for me, so maybe something actually changed in the interim. That's certainly a possibility. Maybe there wasn't the proper permissions on this account, or maybe it was just that you were really close to, as I like to say, the kind of the core components, how RackForms works, but there's no way you would have known any of this stuff yet, like how to name pages and then use variables and select statements. And so hopefully this video has not only kind of shown that we seem to be good, but also giving you some, kind of, I guess, a head start on the actual implementation of this. So I'll leave it at that for now, which is to say, please let me know what you think of this. And then, if you want to meet up at some point and kind of go through a custom training session, let me know. Always happy to meet up and talk shop. So thanks so much, and please do keep me posted.